Hey, today I want to talk to you about change. Why I think change is important. Why I believe those that refuse to change and remain stagnant end up being the most unhappy beings in the entire existence. Let me tell you what I think. As you notice on this video, I have a new Vtuber model. It is brand new. I have only showed this a couple of times on streams and I like it quite a lot. It makes me very happy and I hope you like it too. But you know how was I feeling before this grand reveal? I was feeling a little bit tired. I was feeling like things were a little repetitive and stagnant. When the idea of having a new model, when seeing the new model, preparing for the debut, all of those feelings were renewing my passion for content. You know, it's not just about looking better, it's not just about getting better quality models or things in life. Changing things around you, the people you know, the activities you do, the things you like, the music you listen, the videos you enjoy, the games you play, all of this contributes to your brain and your mind and your emotions feeling better. And there is something new in life. It's fresh, exciting, challenging. We want to know more about that. And we often listen to new music quite a lot. We often indulge in a new flavor on a dish we discover, or we power 100 hours on a new video game that we like a lot. Because often, for most people, doing the same things over and over will eventually make them sick. Life requires change and it requires to be constant. Every now and then, every year, every 2 years, every 3 years, for your mental health. If you think eternity or immortality is something desirable, you might have to rethink that. When you are trapped in eternity, you are breaking a cycle. The cycle of nature. Born, growth, reproduce, and die often is not just there to enslave people or creatures into a cycle and then dispose of them, and then it starts again in a new generation. It also has been created because, or it exists as a very basic way to always have everything in constant change. When generations die, pass their knowledge on to a new one, the new generations create new things. If the same people never died, will always remain in power, we will have really hard, challenging innovations because traditions need to challenge themselves. When in a certain civilization, we think that it's okay to do certain thing, in a couple of generations from that same civilization, that specific costume is now being atrocious, barbaric, antiquate, old, obsolete. This is because the mindset, traditions, the way we view things, everything changes. Now, some people may not like change because they found in the current status quo a form of comfort, and that is fine. You can enjoy something, but holding tight on to something that is meant to pass will only make you suffer, because eventually everything changes. For as, for as much as we try to fight back against the cycle of change of renewal, the more it will simply be there reminding us that we can't really stop time. Today you're here with me, alive. In a couple of years, couple of hundreds, millennia, will probably never be remembered. And even though that can fill people with a lot of dread and sadness, knowing that their legacy will simply cease to exist, it's also a relief. It will eventually free you from your worries, because if you were worried to live forever and having to do everything forever, you will always be worried. I don't know if you are a nerd in video games such as me, but I like Dark Souls a lot. And in the game of Dark Souls, the philosophy, including in Sekiro, is always that people that seek immortality end up suffering a lot. When people are unable to die, they become hollow, they become rotten, they become empty shells of who they were. And not only is shown in the persons within this universe, but is also shown in the disease known as rot or scarlet rot in Elden Ring. When you notice how Malenia, the blade of Nicola, was infected with a scarlet rot, and she took lessons from a master that had the ability to flow with the water. That's where she gets her signature attack, river flow. You realize that Miyazaki is trying to tell us that things need to be in constant motion, like water, like a river flowing. When you look at the lake of Scarlet Rot, it's just stagnant. There is no water flowing, nothing. It's just putrid Scarlet Rot. Now, without really dwelling much into video games, you can start making an analogy and understand that we change because it's for the better. Now, some people change for the worst, and that's not good, but change is inevitable regardless. Would you like to live forever? Ask yourself that question. Would you like to be eternal? And you might be thinking, well, maybe I like to be eternal, but if I can keep my youth, if I can keep my health, my physical form intact, then you would like it so. However, simple biology will tell you that that is not how things work. Things are not meant to last forever. Bodies deteriorate, and although humanity nowadays is researching into repairing the DNA to revert aging, we still don't know the implications of such research and development. We don't know if having a person live through 500, 1,000 years will be something positive or will create a whole new mess to deal with. Everyone wants to live forever, for as long as they are youthful and healthy. But you notice how, for most people, for most creatures, this concept is limited. People are youthful for very short periods of time, and then their bodies begin to decay, similar to the plants around you. The water, the fish in it, everything. I believe I experienced this feeling of refreshment when I began my Vtuber career 3 years ago almost. It was a new challenging adventure. I had never streamed in my life, I never made videos, I had never edited a single thing. I challenged my brain to tackle all of these objectives and obstacles, and it was exciting. It was fresh, it felt nice and new. But then I noticed that as years went passing by, I was feeling a little trapped in a routine. I was feeling slightly demotivated. And then this model arrived and everything changed. I'm sitting here talking to you with many more goals in mind, many more projects to achieve, many more amazing things that I want to do, and it feels really nice. It also tells me that every 3 or 2 years I should probably renew something in my brand, in my model, so that there is always a fresh feeling of excitement. Otherwise, you will see how many people burn out, get tired, bored, they quit because everything is the same. The mind no longer finds any joy within that activity. Has it ever happened to you that you have been working way too much on the same place for many months or even years, and you no longer want to be there? Of course you have to be there for the money, because that is how you are sustaining yourself. But in all honesty, if you had a choice in just getting money and no go there anymore, you will probably take it. When you feel that way, it's important to recognize that you need something new in your life before it's too late, before you burn out, before you crash out and collapse mentally and emotionally. Please remember that we are not AI. We are not computers that are capable of doing the same program without going insane. Sentient beings need new stimulus every now and then. Sentient creatures required to find joy in what they do. Otherwise, emotional issues will start to surface. Be careful. Try to change your routine every now and then. Even if right now you're unable to stop going to the same job, or you're unable to stop doing the same routine, try to change a couple of steps in what you do here and there. Try to go in a different direction. Try to enjoy new food. Try to play new games. Try to get a new job, so that eventually everything will feel fresh in life. Don't fall for the numbness of the routine, because if there is something I know, is that when you do the same thing with no change involved, you will start feeling how time flies for you. Have you ever seen those senior people at corporations? Ever had the luxury to sit down with them at lunch and they tell you, quote unquote, I've been working for this company for 40 years and I remember the day in which I got in like yesterday. Do you realize the implications of that sentence? What they are telling you is, my life has slipped through my fingers like sand. And it's not necessarily a bad thing if they find joy in what they do. Because maybe it is thanks to that job that they were able to buy a house, travel around the world, have a family, who knows what else. It's not something you must be rejecting or be scared of, but it is certainly something to be aware of, especially if you feel like life is going way too fast without meaning or purpose. Without going too far into the examples, before I became a Vtuber and before I became a streamer, I had an office job. I remember the first 3 to 6 months in my job were exciting. I learned new things. I did my job with happiness. I arrived early. But I always noticed the people around me, my co-workers, they were dreadful, gloomy, especially the older ones. They always were complaining, or you had this feeling when you spoke to them that they were just simply there tolerating a feeling of uneasiness. I don't know if I said that correctly, but 2 years and a half passed on that job, and my body and mind couldn't bear it anymore. I had reached my limit. I was at a point in which every week or every 2 weeks I was getting sick. I was getting any form of like laziness. My body simply was like getting, with cold. And I didn't realize until a little later into that 2 years and a half that it was because of that routine, that it was most certainly because of I have been doing the same thing over and over. I have been working on the same place, at the same cubicle, with the same people, doing the same thing, taking the same route, eating the same things, and I simply couldn't handle it anymore. Now, luckily for me, being single, I took my savings and I simply quit my job. I know, right? It's kinda crazy to say that. I had savings that I could survive with for some time, and I did. And I started thinking, well, now I have freedom. At first, I was just playing video games. I wasn't doing anything relevant. But then, as time was passing, I felt like I needed a purpose. So I started trying things. And then I saw some Vtubers online and I fell in love with the concept. I fell in love with what it was, and I thought to myself, this is exactly what I'm gonna do. So I put a lot of my remaining savings into getting my first model, into getting a computer, getting a lot of things for my streaming, and I started doing it. And I love it, every little bit of it. It's been quite a nice journey, so refreshing. You have to work really hard. When people look at streamers, they be like, oh, they just play games and make money. It's way more than that. You have to be constantly working, editing. You have to be constantly changing and innovating, because just by going back to the original topic, viewers, meaning, for example, you, will often jump from content creator to content creator, given that they provide you with happiness, new emotions, and fun, entertainment. When the same person you're watching never changes, eventually you will dwindle away from this person's stream and you will go check out the latest new streamer that is way more energetic, has a prettier aesthetic, do things better, and then eventually you come back to check on the other creator you used to watch, but not as much as before, because your mind also requires new stimuli. Your mind also requires new things. That's why for content creators such as me, also it's important to keep changing, to keep providing you with that which will give you that sense of change and happiness. It is in everything and everywhere that change is needed and heavily required. The main problem with change, however, is that people often suffer when letting go, when they have to part ways or find new ways or new paths. Sometimes people become really attached and fond of the same things that they do. So you must be careful. It's okay to like something. It's okay to understand that something gives you happiness. But it's also good to keep in mind that eventually that will cease to exist at some point. Or if it doesn't cease, it will change. As a content creator myself, I have seen this happening. In the past, I used to get myself really attached to community members when they join my Discord, when they spend time on my streams. But then eventually I got a little sad when I noticed that some of the familiar names that used to spend time with me no longer used to be there for me. They disappeared from my community, and at first I couldn't understand why. At first I thought it was because I was boring. Maybe I did or said something negative that affected them and drove them away. And this has happened, it will happen to everyone that makes content. And I at first didn't know how to handle those emotions. It was really hard for me to even comprehend what was the reason why someone was really happy with me for 6 years or not 6 months and then they stopped talking and never be seen again. So now I am a little more emotionally mature than I was when I began, and I comprehend that people come and go. Today you're watching this video, you're clicking like, you're subscribing, you're leaving a comment, and I like that. But in a couple of years, maybe you will no longer be here, and I'll miss you. But I will not blame myself because of it like I used to in the past, because I understand that if it's my fault that I didn't change and I did not provide you with enough to continue being around, then it's only natural for people to come and go. And maybe if I change in the future, you will be back, or maybe not. It's hard to talk about it because often people say, I'm gonna be here forever, but there never is a forever. It's not that I'm trying to make you feel bad. It's more than I'm trying to put into perspective the things that I learned that also are related to change. The topic of this video. That little bird is really excited making sounds. You know, change also can be seen in many cycles in life and death, in the seasons of the planet, summer, spring, autumn, and winter. Change can also be found in technology, how it keeps improving. Change can be seen in your own body, how your nails grow, your hair. If you're getting older, you start seeing gray hairs. Your vision might be getting blurry. Your body might be aching if you're not exercising. We often are unaware of all these little changes until we start feeling them. But it's not something to be sad about. To know that everything has a beginning and an end also relaxes your spirit. It will ease your mind. That even if things are going great or things are not going great, everything will have an end. And that you will be able to rest and move on and no longer have any worries about what's going to happen in the future. I believe change is crucial. If I was asked, because this topic gets really philosophical, but if I was asked, would I like to live forever? Part of me would like to say yes. I wish to be able to see more and witness more, but I guess that's just a selfish feeling of trying to transcend what exists. I have a desire to always try to understand things. Even though I know it's not meant to be, if I had a chance to live longer and compare things and pass on knowledge, I would like to do that. But that is just my silly self talking. Because even then, change is still inevitable. Are you afraid of change? Let me ask you. Are you scared of the future? Try to relax your mind. Don't worry much about the future. Don't worry much about the past. You no longer control the past, and the future will be there for you when you're ready. Try to relax. Look around you. Look at your own hands. See yourself in the mirror. If you don't like what you see, if you notice that change is happening for the worst, relax yourself. There is one really predatory practice in our world, which is beauty products that try to sell you the illusion of extended youth, painting your hair when it's growing gray, applying facial products. There is nothing wrong with some moisture for healthy skin, but you know what I'm saying, right? I'm referring to like quote unquote youthful beauty products. All of that is nonsense. You are trying so hard to hold onto an image you had of yourself, and you despise change in the form of aging so much that you are trying your best to hide it. But you are not realizing that by hiding it, you are only delaying the inevitable, and in so, you are also suffering emotionally. You are also feeling bad when this comes back at you. Let go. What worries you needs to be identified. Let go. Just accept how you are, accept how you look, accept how you sound, accept how you sound, accept all those little things about you, and you will be happier and ready for change when it happens. Now remember, we all still have a long life ahead of us. This conversation is not meant to be about feeling sad or being depressed. This conversation is meant to make you realize that if you worry less and you accept change, everything will be better mentally for you. At least the part in which you struggle trying to forever be certain something that already is not in this time. It's a hard pill to swallow because we are being pressured by our peers, by the people around us, and we are constantly being bombarded and sold the idea that old age is terrible, the idea that things must remain youthful and beautiful, otherwise they become irrelevant. This is the biggest pile of dog shit that they have ever invented just to make money out of your worries and needs. Now, before anyone thinks, well, so I must just sit there and accept change and do nothing, no. What I'm trying to tell you is to release yourself from the worries that you have that are related to trying not to change. And while you have no longer those worries, you can also work towards being better, healthier. There are certain things you can do that can help you live longer if you, for example, exercise a little bit every day, if you are eating correctly, not too much junk food, you are not smoking, doing drugs, being alcoholic, if you're sleeping correctly, all of these little things will slowly contribute towards you having a much healthier and positive experience in life rather than suffering and feeling like you need medication or constant visits to the doctor or being in antidepressants and things of the sort. Remember that the best cure for most things lies within these simple actions: exercising, sleeping, and eating better. Those three main things will make you have a positive life. Now, as for the final part of the video, there is one main reason that change is really important in every aspect of life. Because it is thanks to change that we are able to continue the cycle of life in a correct way. If we were not to change, if no newborn were present, if people will always be doing the same things, art will remain stagnant, creativity will fall as well. There will be many problems in society. I'm not saying that we're currently in a perfect state because always things are changing. I think from a very philosophical perspective, change is really interconnected with the flow of time. The passing of every second, every heartbeat of your heart, every breath you take, all of that I believe is heavily connected with change. And when you change, often you worry about if the people around you will still like you even if you are different. For example, look at me. I have a new model. You can tell me in the comments if you really like it or if it's not of your liking. Maybe you prefer the older model better, or maybe you really like this one. Before I made the change, I was quite afraid of your perception about me. I was quite on the fence, thinking, will they like it? Will it be of their enjoyment? Will they leave me if I change? But I calm myself down immediately simply by me liking what I am now. You see, change is inevitable, but if you're always enjoying what you are becoming, other people around you, no matter what, will like it as well. Because it all comes from a place of self-love. Now, however, if you have been hyping for a long time, let's say the color blue on your model, and one day you appear as yellow, that might be something that actually clashes with people, because maybe they no longer find you relatable to their likes. And that is something scary, but still something that often must happen. When you change, sometimes you will change thinking for the best, but other people will react negatively about it because they're not used to it or they prefer the previous version of you. And you know what? It's okay. You can respectfully tell people that they are entitled to their opinion. And even though you feel bad that they don't like the new you, at least you are still here, happy and not being stagnant in life. Sometimes you will have to let go people. Sometimes you will have to change the group of friends. This happened to me. One of the best examples I remember was when I became transgender, or when I discovered myself as transgender, for a better wording. I told my friends, this also happened. This also happened to me when I discovered myself as transgender. I told my friends about it, my quote-unquote friends at the time, and they had weird reactions, to say the least. None of them really made me feel bad, but they did not approve of it, or they were a little resistant, so I had to change them. I had to let go. At first I didn't, but I told myself, well, it's my happiness, or am I gonna be being something I'm not just to keep them happy? That's a really tough decision for a lot of people. Often we try to not change, so we make those around us always happy because we like their validation, because we don't want to lose them, the love they give us, quote unquote. And if we change, maybe they will no longer appreciate us. But waking up and realizing that it's important, realizing that people like you not because you are you, but because of something you have that will eventually change, will be the best thing in your life, even if at first it's painful. There is a movie actually called The Substance, which talks about a woman that is aging, and her career, which is modeling, requires youthful young women. So she feels bad. She goes to consume an illegal substance that will allow herself to transform into a youthful version of herself. But it eventually all collapses. She loses control, everything backfires, she becomes a monster and dies. And all because she wanted to keep appealing the wrong type of people. This is very important for you to wake up and realize, holy frick, I am wasting my time trying to get praise from people that matter not. Trying to get praise from people that truly care not for me. The sooner you open your eyes to this reality, the better things will be for you. And the free the more free you shall be to be yourself, your true self, no longer wearing a mask, and all because you dare to change, all because you dare to take that step into being you, into upgrading or changing, and stop being complacent to make other people happy. Let me know what you have to say about change or any topic that I mentioned if you are still awake and you made it this far. With all that being said, and with all that being done, I'll be seeing you all in the next video. I have a lot of nice plans for ASMR now that I have this beautiful new model. I'll be seeing you around. Take care.